Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how
He's alive!
Welcome to where the weird ones are.
Every time I speak, I want the truth to come out.
Powerful figures in Hollywood as well as powerful politicians who are in fact not human. They're reptiles or they're lizards or perhaps extraterrestrials.
I don't think it is a human. I think it's a Sasquatch.
Go ahead and run. Run home and cry to mama.
Let's get weird.
What's up, you fucking weirdos? Welcome to another episode of Where the Weird Ones Are. My name is Kevin, but you probably already knew that, and if you didn't, now you do. Today's episode is with Nash Hoover from Chasing Legends. Um, he gets right out there in the field to investigate legends, monsters, myths, all the creatures that go bump in the night that try to put some validity to it or debunk it, I guess, in a way. Um, so if you want to, I would highly recommend checking him out on YouTube. Um, he is starting. He's gonna be dropping a Kickstarter uh, September 27th for the new season of Chasing Legends. So hopefully we can get that going for him because I'm entertained by Chasing Legends. So I hope you guys are too. If you end up checking him out, or maybe you already checked it out. Um, so it's fun, and he was a great guest to speak with. Um, so yeah, yeah. Go follow him on Instagram, Chasing Legends. Subscribe to the YouTube and stuff, and be up to date with things that are going to be happening. But if you want to flavor up your food, I highly recommend Bigfoot's Breath by Flavors of the Forest. I got some bottles here behind me. Um, Highly recommend it. Very potent. It tastes delicious. I put it on my scrambled eggs. I put it on my steak. I put it on everything except for obviously things that you don't want to taste like garlic. But yeah, scoop yourself up a bottle or two or five or fucking 100 and from flavorsforest.com/weird. That's where you're gonna get it, and that's where you want to get it, and that's where you're gonna get it. And I feel like anyways. So yeah, and then I got the hot sauce. I got um, Down the Rabbit Hole, my collaboration with David from Down the Rabbit Hole and Amanda from One Nothing, both of them from One Nothing. But and then I got Green Apple Sizzle. I got Blueberry Heat, and I got Hot Lemon Squeeze. They're all available on the website, so go check that out. Hot Lemon Squeeze is the original. Hot Lemon Squeeze and Down the Rabbit Hole are both very hot. They're the hotter of the four. Down the Rabbit Hole might be the hottest one that I have. But Strawberry Murder Juice is going to be dropping on the website here pretty soon. Here's the bottle for it. I just haven't got the label. The label is made. I just got to get them printed and slab them on the bottles. So these Strawberry Murder Juice is going to be a limited edition. They, I'm only using the ingredients from my garden for this one. So all the hots and you know, all the sweets and the hots and obviously the honey doesn't come from my garden. But so there is honey in there. Dude, I was impressed with myself when I made it. But anyways, If you like today's episode or any of my other episodes and you're interested in checking me out further, please like, follow, share, subscribe, leave a rating and review. I would greatly appreciate that. If your podcatcher doesn't allow you to leave a review and you want to leave one, you can leave one on the website where the weird ones are podcast.com. That's where you can get the hot sauce. That's where you can get the merch, t-shirts and all that shit. I'm going to be working on some more designs, so stay tuned for that. um, Alicia Watson from Twisted and Uncorked actually created my label for Strawberry Murder Juice. She also made my logo for the production company that I am going to be starting. Hopefully, filming for the documentary that I will be releasing next year will be starting soon. If you feel froggy enough to donate to the film production, I'd greatly appreciate it. If you do so, depending on how much you donate, you get um, either a coffee mug or a T-shirt or something. Um, um, what else? But yeah, so yeah, if you feel there is a donation page, so hopefully filming will start pretty soon, within the next couple of weeks. So excited for that. Next at this coming weekend, on Saturday the 14th, I will be at Cryptid Fest in Raynham, Massachusetts at the VFW. So come on fucking down. It's free. 1 to 6 p.m. There'll be a couple vendors and a couple speakers. I will be one of the speakers and vendors. I will have hot sauce. So come check it out. Again, that is Saturday the 14th, 1 to 6. So excited for that. Hope to see you guys there if you're in the area. Other than that, I think that's all I want to. All Patreon. If you want to follow the Patreon, that'd be great. $5 a month, you get a free coffee mug, and you might get a free T-shirt every once in a while. I'm actually sending out a T-shirt here tonight, so to one of my Patreon members. So, if if any of that sounds cool with you guys, I would be greatly appreciative. If not, happy to have you here, happy to have your ear, happy to, you know, um, happy to have you around for like an hour and a half or so. So again, Nash Hoover is with Chasing Legends. He is the head of that shit. He freaking calls the shots. He's the captain. So go check him out on YouTube and Instagram, Chasing Legends. So let's get into it with Nash, shall we?
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Let's get weird. Let's get weird. Let's get weird. Let's get weird. Weird. Get weird.
Hey, what's going on, dudes and dudettes? This is Drewski from Cryptid Warfare and Conspiracies Podcast, and you're listening to Kevin on Where the Weird Ones Are.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode. So happy to have you here. Today I have Nash Hoover from Chasing Legends, and we're going to get into some of the stuff that he does. So, Nash, if you don't mind letting the good people know a little bit about yourself and what it is that you do.
Yeah, so I am the co-creator and host of the YouTube web series called Chasing Legends that follows myself and a small team of camera people, basically a small production crew and some other researchers and we travel around the country, eventually the world, and we investigate various cryptid legends and see if we can find any answers or truth to any of them.
It's a fun concept, I will say that for sure. And you guys get out there too. It's not just we're off the side of the road here,
We
into
try.
the woods kind of thing. So it's fun to watch.
Oh my
There goes
God.
your there goes your camera again.
Hold on.
Can you do anything while it's recording? Lenya. I wonder what the reason for that is.
That's not my camera.
How's your internet connection? It looked good on Riverside anyway. Camera shuts off while streaming. Do you need me to stop recording?
There we go.
I was trying to look up answers to help you out, but it wasn't giving me anything.
I have never had any issues with this camera before, so I have no idea what's going on. Good thing we're not live.
Right. Oh man, that's 100% the one of the reasons that I pre-record, that I don't do lives. I'm scared to do lives because of things like this. Because almost every time there's at least something, whether it's the audio or the camera, or sometimes it's me. A lot of times it's me actually, but yeah, man. Well, it's been it's so for everybody, a little backstory. Nash and I have been talking since spring about doing this episode, and here we are now entering the fall season, and we're finally getting together. And the camera had just shut off on him, but we were on Riverside, and the camera was shutting off on him every time I hit record. So hopefully, we can keep it on. So but freaking man, technology, it's our friend, but it's also our enemy.
I bought this webcam so that way I could use my desktop for this stuff and not have to use my old laptop that always gave me problems. And then now this thing's giving me problems.
That's freaking hilarious. Oh my goodness. So yeah, you got the YouTube series. You kind of track down local legends everywhere that you go, cryptids and all this stuff. Um, so I guess my first question would be, what uh piqued your interest into following this passion project?
So I first got into cryptozoology when I was in second or third grade. So this would have been like 02, 03. And this was, the internet was a thing, but it wasn't, huge yet. So, I was in my elementary school library and I had stumbled across a book on Bigfoot. And, I had grew up watching various wildlife shows, Steve Irwin, Jeff Corwin, the like. So I was into wildlife and that sort of thing. So then I came across this book and it was, basically talking about an alleged primate that people were seeing, all over North America and all over the world. And I was like, well, this is interesting. Like, what is this and why is it so heavily disputed? So I, like from there, I kind of got into Loch Ness and then I got into UFOs and I was checking out so many books on this topic that my elementary school librarian essentially would go around and find all the books on the topic that she knew I hadn't checked out yet. And then she would actually bring in new books on the topic specifically for me to read. And from there, the interest kind of evolved. And then as I got into high school and such, that's when, cryptid and paranormal TV started getting big. So I had, shows like Monster Quest and Destination Truth and all of those that I was, starting to watch. And that's what really broadened my kind of global horizon on, it's not just, these few creatures. It's, this is a whole web of things. And then, kind of piggybacked on that was I started getting into filmmaking and wanting to do that as some sort of career. And spring of 2013, I, was a year out of high school and knew I wanted to do something with my life, but not quite sure. But I knew I wanted it to be something different. And that's kind of where the idea sparked, to kind of combine my love of filmmaking and cryptozoology. And I saw a kind of a void after Destination Truth was taken off the air to kind of make something that was similar, but obviously with my own spin on it. And that's 11 years later. Here we are.
That's amazing, man. That's amazing. When I was reaching the end of my high school, I've always had this passion to do film as well. I was actually on track to go to the New York Film Academy, and it was only like, I think it was like $13,000 for intuition, and I could stay home and and live there during the week during classes and come back home on the weekends and stuff like that, which was amazing. Parents didn't have the money. I would have had to have gotten a loan and all that, but pretty like inexpensive loan and stuff. Obviously, I never did that. I wish I did. Mm. I wasn't a great human as a teenager, so things kind of happened. But anyways, it's people like you small town monsters and stuff that reignited that passion in me. Here I am in my 30s now, and I'm just starting to. I got a camera, and I'm putting together like my own little like documentary stuff that I want to do.
Nice.
I want to thank you for doing what you do, because I'm sure you're inspiring other people out there as well, to follow the things that they enjoy. So not only do I want to say thank you, but you do amazing stuff, man. It's great to watch.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it. I'm glad I'm inspiring, even anybody. This field needs more people that can agree with each other and
Yeah.
kind of approach things with a common goal. And a lot of the gatekeepers are finally starting to go their own way. So it's good that there's a good community of us that actually enjoy collaborating.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. My son, he was, I want to say he was probably about 6 years old, and Finding Bigfoot was big on TV, and he loved it. And I remember being like, I'd like on the cryptid side, like I knew, look, I was very much a believer of paranormal because I had seen a lot of things myself, and but when it came to cryptids, I was like, "There's no freaking way." And he used to watch it all the time, and I'd be like, "Oh man, why are you watching this?" He's like, "It's fun," and I'd sit there and watch it with him and everything. I didn't believe any of it at the time, but the more that I started looking into things, and the more that I started hearing people's stories, and I've never had like any kind of Bigfoot interaction or encounter, but there's so many things that there why not, why can't there be something? I'm sure they find new species all the time.
Exactly.
So there's that. So something intelligent could possibly be hiding deep in the woods somewhere, very easily, I think. So I think there's something to that. So but I wanted to ask you what the process of getting out there with your, you got your film crew and everything like that. What do you guys like? What's the I guess like little huddle? Like what do you go through to make sure you have your um ducks in a row, essentially?
It's, we fortunately and unfortunately, we approach these expeditions, as a production. So it's so I kind of run. I basically have to wear two hats in the planning stage. I both have to plan an expedition and make sure we don't die, and I have to plan a production around said expedition
Mhm.
to film us hopefully not dying. And so, I mean, early days I did a lot, and it sucked because I was like the only one that really kind of knew how to do both. Now it's better because I have people that are really good at the film stuff that I can kind of hand some of the tasks off to, like write the basically here's how I want this episode to look, write up some ideas of kind of how we'll shoot everything, and then I can kind of and then on the research end of it, I've got people that I can kind of hey, we need to find an eyewitness that's seen this in this area, see if you can find it, and then I can kind of take that and I can do my own for both and kind of add to each person's pile. But it went from me doing it all to now it is it's a team effort, and it's which is great. It can be a little bit at times to kind of manage, but we make it work. So like my director of photography, Sammy Vernay, he's a 2-time Emmy-winning content producer. Watching him work is incredible. He just has such an eye for just filmmaking in general. Never had any interest in this sort of what most of the guys I work with have never had any interest in this topic whatsoever, which is great because they're coming into it completely unbiased. And then I can throw them on camera and be like, what do you think about this? And then they can kind of give an unbiased opinion of like, and that's solely based on what information they're hearing as we're on location. And then we've got Sammy's been with us since 2018. And then we've got JC Yang, who has been at the show since the beginning, and has kind of had varying jobs, and now he's kind of in a producer audio role. And then we're going to kind of have some kind of revolving. They're kind of the two that are going to be like the consistent moving forward. And then we have some kind of people that are going to revolving door. Sorry, I'm kind of like adding more info to the question. But yeah, so we shoot, we shoot an episode at a time. We don't, unfortunately, with all of our, we have lives and families and all that, so we can't, as of right now, we can't, just leave for 3 months and just shoot everything at once, which we're hoping to eventually get to that point. So we with that, we're able to kind of focus on each one individually. Like, we'll plan, hey, this is when we're going to go do these, but then, we focus on the one that's first, second, third. So, it's a lot of video meetings with each other because, we all live in different cities, breaking everything down. I reach out to, the people, I usually will throw together a short laundry list of people that we want to speak to, experts, eyewitnesses, scientific, people of the science community that can kind of add some insight in that. And, send them emails, cold call them, be like, hey, we're doing this. I need you, if it's especially if it's somebody in the science community, like, I don't need you to talk about this. I'm not going to ask you about this. I just need to know, what animals do exist so we can kind of narrow it down. And then we'll schedule our interviews, and then we, say, okay, we have 4 days to do it all. We got to fly in. We'll do interviews this day, and then the second day is our investigation day, and that's actually when we go out into the field and we do both day and night, investigations. And usually the night investigation is what gets filmed the most, but we usually will show a little bit of the kind of daytime exploration, which that's more so that we're getting an idea where we want to look in the day and not just showing up in some random spot at night and then figuring it out, with headlamps and tripping over stuff. It's just, which is how we actually used to do it years ago. And it just never works out. So that's kind of the gist of it. And then, it's 3, 4, sometimes 5 cameras a day, shooting nonstop. And then we, so each night we, sit down and get everything offloaded and then go on to the next day. And it's a lot, but we're getting better at it. And the stuff kind of coming forward, it will be, the stuff we're getting ready to do will be way better, both in terms of just production value, quality, and just kind of how we approach it, just because we've learned a lot over the last 3-4 years since we've done this last.
And the bond that you guys create obviously also helps makes things go smoother the more time you guys spend together. So I'm sure that's helpful. But with everything that you looked into and everywhere that you've been, what would you say it has been your favorite expedition? Like, not because of anything, I don't know. I guess just because of, like, maybe you had fun on it, or maybe you found evidence, what however you want to describe it, but like what would you say was your favorite out of so far?
Our expedition to the Mogollon Rim of northern Arizona, looking for the Mogollon monster, which is Arizona's Bigfoot. That to me was probably one of my favorite, just because, like, we probably could have spent a week up there and would have never seen anybody else. Which initially was my plan, was to go a few days and like get in as deep and as far away from people as we could, and then it just was like a logistical nightmare, and we were just like, yeah, we can't do this with like no budget. So to me, that was one of my favorites. Just it has a lot of potential, just because it's, you think of Arizona, you think of desert, but then you get, an hour and a half, 2 hours north of Phoenix, and you're in a completely different state. It's super mountainous, it's super forested, it's a very beautiful area. And I remember vividly, because it made it into the episode, our first impression of coming around the corner of this mountain and seeing the forests, and then the Mogollon Rim, towering ahead of us. We're just like, okay, I think something could be out here. And that was just such a fun trip, and the investigation was great, and we had something that was kind of making noises, and I think out of the four that we shot in 2020, I think Mogollon is one that I would make a return trip for and just go longer and farther out.
Yeah, that is a beautiful area. I'll second that. I'd love to. I've been to the Grand Canyon area. So it's not a whole lot of wilderness. Well, actually, going to the North Rim, there was a shit ton of wilderness. Actually, there was a lot of forest and stuff, and I remember being like, "That's weird." I always thought that Arizona was just like this desolate cactus ridden area, you know. So that was pretty cool. Man, that must have been a lot of fun being out there. I loved when I was out in Arizona with the kids, man. I really enjoyed it. So, um, that must have been a hell of a time. But
Well, the funny thing was is that we went in late July,
yeah.
so
Oh,
we knew we went in. Basically was like prepare for warm weather. Everyone's like,
yeah.
okay. We flew into Phoenix. It was 98 degrees, and it's like, okay, whatever. We drove 2 hours north of Phoenix to the city of Payson. The temperature dropped to 72. We're like, all right,
Oh,
this
okay.
is fine. All right, we'll deal with it. Next day, we drive up to the rim, 50 degrees and raining. And we're dressed for heat. So so after the first day up there, we had to make a stop so people could get layers, because it was like that was the temperature forecasted the whole time we were going to be shooting up there was like high 50s, low 60s, which was fine. I mean, it was comfortable, but we weren't prepared for it.
Right. Right. I remember the kids and I talk about this all the time with the week that we spent down there. Um, we were getting up at 7 o'clock in the morning because a lot of the things that we wanted to do were, an hour or two away from where we were staying. And we'd get up and we'd go outside and we'd all be wearing hoodies and everything. It'd be like, 55, 65 degrees in that range. And then at like 10 o'clock, it was 80 degrees. And then from 10 o'clock all the way to 4 o'clock, could be 80, maybe 98 or something like that. And we were, I made sure that I put a tank top underneath my hoodie in the morning so that when I shed that layer, I was still, even extra cooler just in case. But yeah, the temperature ranges out there is wild. I never experienced a temperature change that drastically before in my life. It was pretty interesting for sure. So, but have you ever had an encounter or anything like that with something that you can attribute to a cryptid at all? Like, not saying that you actually saw anything, but maybe um, before and that's what piqued your interest into actually doing this as well, or was it after you started doing this?
Yeah, didn't have anything before we started. It was just always something I was interested in. I've definitely experienced things that kind of fall in line with what other eyewitnesses report, but I have never had like anything. I've never had like a flesh and blood sighting. I've just we the team have always we've had things that were strange while we were out looking, that kind of like I said, like it fit what people have described kind of experiencing. Whether we were in the presence of whatever creature we were looking for, I can't say, but it definitely added up to reports.
Yeah, that's cool. I've never had an encounter or an experience. Well, there's this one time that I think I may have experienced a dog man, but I don't know. At the time I thought it was a demon. I'm like, oh my god, there's a demon out there. But when I listen to stories, I'm like, well, maybe it's Dogman, because I never heard of Dogman until like 20 end of 2020, 2021 or something.
Oh, really?
That's when I got really big into podcasts, and I started listening to all these encounter stories with Dogman. I'm like, maybe that's what I saw in the woods that one time, and because my experience was in 2016. It was like the fall, um, which was pretty interesting. And I was scared for my life. I thought this thing was whatever it was gonna kill me. So locked all my doors and stuff. My dogs were with me and everything. I put my magazine in my rifle, and I took the safety off. I even pulled the bolt action and made sure that there was a round in the chamber and everything, like waiting for this thing to like come through the house. It never did, thankfully. But it also could have been hallucination. I don't know, you know, but it's interesting how the mind can play tricks when you're in
Mm-hmm.
the darkness in the woods, especially. Um, have you ever been able to get like footprints on any of your expeditions?
So it's funny that you bring up dog band stuff because that's like the only thing that we've ever been able to cast was a very large canine footprint, which eventually, once I had it looked at, was a gray wolf, which I was like, that's good because that's, honestly what I think a lot of these sightings can kind of be chalked up to.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was in eastern Wisconsin. We were out there, and yeah, it was like we were hiking into this wooded area. We're going to check some stuff out. It was kind of recommended by the late great Linda Godfrey to check out this area. And 100 yards in, there was a ton of these just huge canine footprints. And then later in that night, we heard howling and stuff in the distance. And I actually have it casted in this light shelf thing behind me.
Nice.
But yeah, that's like the only time we've found anything. Mogollon, we definitely looked for, but it was just the ground was so packed and it was just like covered in pine needles. That was just like we wouldn't have seen it if it was there. And then like when we went looking for the Ruger, we knew there was no way we were gonna find footprints out there. But yeah, that one was cool just because it was like it was a good sized footprint.
Yeah. Have you ever found yourself in like ha- a situation that was kind of creepy on any of these expeditions at all? Like something that you were like, oh, that's kind of that was kind of freaky or something like that. Anything?
I can't say there's anything that's really been like creepy. Well, when we did our Pukwudgie episode, we were a little on edge, but that was more so because of the area we were investigating in was also known for some other pretty dark stuff.
Yeah.
So we were kind of, head on a swivel for that one just because, we were told a lot of, people had seen people in like black hooded cloak things walking around out there, and the area we were in, the mob used to dump bodies, and it was so that was it was creepy in that sense. I mean, we definitely had situations where we were kind of fearful for our lives, but it wasn't anything creepy. It was kind of what to expect when you kind of go into some of these areas.
Right. Do you guys bring protection? Because I know like being out there, I don't mind. Like if I get attacked by an animal, then like I feel like I kind of deserve it if I'm out in the woods because that's their home. But like I mean like protection like against other humans because mankind is what I fear the most, even if I'm out in the middle of the woods.
I personally don't. I would, but it's just I don't. When I'm checking a billion things, I don't want to have to also go through the process of checking a firearm. Luckily, with the 4 episodes we shot in 2020, we had Alexander Pedikov with us, and he brings at least 4 guns with him everywhere he goes.
He does.
But moving forward, this is not necessarily for people, but more so just because of some of the animal encounters we've had. I'm going to start carrying a nice large knife with me.
Yeah.
Just to have that peace of mind. And then I've also invested a lot of money into GPS equipment, so we can we have that safety. There's just that peace of mind now with some of these expeditions that we kind of would like are looking at doing here soon. It was a few close calls back in 2020 that were like, yeah, we need to be able to call for help if we're in areas where we don't have cell service. And I want everybody to have some form of GPS device so we can get out of here. And so
shit, I had a freaking question in my head. What was it? See if I can find it real quick. Now you guys have a like a starter kit too, right? That that you're starting for the fall, or no?
What's that?
You have a starter kit?
Starter kit.
Yeah, I remember you said something about that you were
our Kickstarter.
Kickstarter, freaking A. What am I talking about? Yes, Kickstarter. Yeah.
Yes. So we get into that. You heard it here first because we haven't gone public with this yet. So September 27th, we will be launching a Kickstarter campaign to fund 5 new episodes that will become our second season of sorts. We're going to be going after things such as the Skunk Ape, Florida. We're going to be doing an episode on the Flathead Lake Monster in Montana, and some other pretty cool ones that I'm not going to fully disclose because gotta have some aces in the hole. But
right.
Yeah, it's a good list that we put together. So it's 5 more US. We're gonna, if we hit the goal and exceed it, we might try and do an international one, but the 5 for sure here in the US. And September 27th we'll be live. And gonna get back at it, and it's gonna be a whole new show in a sense, kind of a refresh, and it's gonna look better. It's gonna look more dollar store destination truthy, and
I like the sounds of that. I like the sounds of that. September 27th, you said?
Yep.
All right. Obviously right on YouTube.
Yep, it'll be on YouTube, be on our website. We'll talk about it on all of our socials, and do it. Let's do it again.
Dope, man. Dope. I'm looking forward to that. What out of all the cryptids that you've looked into, what would you say that you would lead the you would say it has the most credibility to being, real?
Mogollon Monster or Champ?
Okay.
Champ probably more so, just because from the people that we spoke to when we were out there filming, like I'd always read about Champ, I'd always watched stuff about Champ, and then stepping foot on the shores of Lake Champlain for the first time was just like, I was not prepared for this. It's and literally everybody we spoke to the whole time we were out there, and this is just people we talked to when we were in town, because usually when you're walking around with cameras and stuff, people ask, hey, why are you walking around with cameras? So we would tell them, and everyone we talked to either had their own story or knew somebody that had a story of seeing Champ at some point in their lives. And this was on both the Vermont and New York side, everyone we talked to. So I was like, okay. Well, then when we talked to the guy we interviewed, Gary, who is like the scuba diver, like, you know, rescue diver, knows the lake inside and out guy. And he was like, yeah, I saw something and I have no idea what the hell it was. I'm like, okay. So this guy knows what's out here, and he saw something that he didn't know was supposed to be there and doesn't know what it is. So maybe there is something here.
Yeah.
And yeah, it completely changed my kind of opinion. I mean, lake monsters are cool, but I feel like at the same time there's a lot of variables that go into whether or not a lake monster is what, you know, obviously don't always buy into the plesiosaur thing. But I mean, people are seeing something large. So, and, you know, given that lake is, you know, 420-ish feet deep that they know of, and there's a literal mountain range in the middle of it that you can see and stand on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who knows?
Yeah, I would like to see something someday to be like, I know it's real. Like I just want to, just for myself. I don't need to like I don't need to write a book about the experience and, you know, get a bunch of money for selling these books about it, but just, I don't know, like kind of like peace of mind kind of thing, because, you know, there's a lot of stories out there where I'm just like, there's no way that's real.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
Flatwoods Monster. That's what that has one story technically.
Yeah, I mean,
And that
there's a lot of cryptids out there that get a lot of fame, and
yeah,
that's, you know, one, two, maybe three sightings. I mean, I say that, but then I'm like, you know, a festival committee member for the Van Meter Visitor Festival, and that was just 1 week of, you know, sightings. But
yeah,
yeah, I mean, I'm the same way. I mean, I definitely, you know, I'm not just going out there to say I did. Like I'm
right, right.
genuinely, you know, think that, you know, that's either something undiscovered or it's something just misidentified, and it's piecing that puzzle together and coming up with some sort of conclusion. You know, sometimes, most of the time, we don't find anything, but, you know, I always leave it open ended. Like, I'm not going to be the guy that said, oh, we didn't find anything, so there's nothing here, it's all made up. Like, I
Right.
cannot and will not be that person. And, you know, typically I encourage, you know, like, you know, come out here, you know, prove me wrong, please. Like, you
Yes.
know, show me evidence, and, you know, and then we can move forward. But yeah, I mean, there's that, you know, that explorer in me that, like, I want to find something here that really does just like shock the world. Like, holy shit, like, this, people have been talking about this for centuries and it's real, you know? And I mean, think about how many times that has happened for known animals. I mean, it's like you said, there's new species being discovered all the time. And a lot of the times, you know, at least the bigger ones were things that have been talked about by locals, and Western, you know, scientists shook them off until, oh, hey, look, it's real.
Yeah.
Guess those guys are right.
Yeah, it's just like the gorilla. The gorilla was discovered in this century, I believe, right? It was like the early 1900s, or was it the late 1800s? I don't know. One or
Might
the
have
other.
been, yeah, it was around around that time.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of interesting things. Um, I can't remember the name of another one, but um, what's his name? You know what? I can't even remember his name, so I'm not gonna I'm not gonna go into it. It's Pat something. He had a show on like travel,
Oh, Pat
and
Spain.
yes, that guy. He did he looked into some like ape-like creature or something, and he's like, I was out there, and I stood out in the woods, and they took a picture of me, and looking at the picture, you can't even see me. He goes, so to say like there's there's so many spots for something to hide. He goes, and I wasn't hiding, I was just standing.
Yeah.
Because he came to uh Cryptid Fest or Cryptid, I don't know. He came to a convention up here in Maine, and gave this whole presentation. Number one, he was hilarious, and he had a whole lot of cool stories. But like, he's like, I'm not ever gonna say like somebody didn't experience what they experienced, but there are so many like aspects to the woods that can blend. And he goes, and being a hairless hominid person, like obviously human, to be able to stand in frame leaning up against a tree and you still can't see me in the picture. Gives me lends credit to things being able to camouflage themselves, especially with animals. They blend in with the colors of the wilderness, their fur and all that stuff. And I was just talking to Chucky Danger, and he's like, uh, he's creature, the animals that hunt at night and stuff. They can see like ultraviolet colors, so like the things that they want, they can see like the nutrients in plants and stuff at night because it glows to them from their vision. And
That's
I
why
had
that's
talked to
why I
Al.
that's why I
Go
started
ahead.
carrying a UV flashlight with me now at night.
Really?
Mhm.
Nice, nice. Dude, I want to get out there with a UV light and see exactly what is glowing as well. That's pretty, that talking to him and him telling me all this stuff about the like UV rays and all this stuff and the colors that, are perpetuated from plants, rocks, and other animals. It just like the whole conversation, it blew my mind.
Mhm.
Um, and to say that maybe like, what if Bigfoot can see just like that? So, he, and that's why we don't see it during the day because it's stays still, and then at night that's when it's coming out to find its nutrients and its food and stuff like that. Because it can see like that. And squirrels glow this bright red and a little bit of green and a little bit of blue. And maybe these the rock. Because have you ever heard of Bigfoot gifting rocks?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he was saying that a lot of these rocks glow a certain color, and he goes, I wonder if it's almost when it gifts a rock. I almost wonder if they're just basically like, I wonder if do you see this the same way that I do, kind of thing. Which is it's interesting. Obviously, we'll never most likely. I'm like 99% sure that we'll never have the answer to a lot of these questions. Um, but to think about it is pretty interesting.
Yeah.
So, I did want to ask you though, what do you think? What do you think some of these creatures are? Do you think they are flesh and blood? Do you think they are interdimensional, or do you think they're spiritual, like, or maybe all of it at once? Like, what is your opinion?
Are you talking specifically Bigfoot?
And yeah, man, I'm not particularly, but it could be, I
So
guess.
I'm definitely on the flesh and blood biological animal side of
Yeah,
things. I don't I don't buy in or play into the woo stuff. I mean, I'll listen to it, but I'm it's just I can't wrap my head around it.
yeah,
And that's what's kind of like pushed my kind of new approach to things that I'll be taking moving forward is I'm going to kind of approach things as a biologist. I don't have a biology
yeah,
degree, but I'm definitely going to kind of look at things through that lens and um, look at these things as potential undiscovered wildlife, or even, an extinct species that is still around, and I think with Bigfoot in North America, it's tough. I think there's absolutely areas that they could exist. Do I think that it's as broad of a range that people say it is? No. I think Pacific Northwest, a lot of possibilities there, just because it's very wilderness. It's very remote. Up into Canada, obviously, for sure. Everglades, I think, has some possibility. It's getting less and less, though, just because it's kind of shrinking due to population growth, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And there's obviously a lot of areas in your neck of the woods, the east, northeast part of the country, that for sure could hide some stuff. And then southern, more areas kind of throughout the kind of southwest and such. But I'm sure people are seeing something that they can't explain. But it kind of comes down to whether or not I can believe what they think they saw. And other times, no. I think, with Bigfoot, people are going to say what they want to say about this, but I think it could be bear. I think it could be, mass hysteria. It could be hoax. I mean, it's any number of variables these days. It's Dogman stuff. We don't have time for that rant. I look into it. Obviously, I mean, I'll drop another one. One of the episodes we are planning on doing with season 2 is a Dogman episode. I will look at it, but again, it's looking at it like, are people just seeing wolves? And not everyone has seen a wolf in the wild. I have seen a wolf in the wild multiple times, and they're huge.
They are big.
And they can stand on their hind legs if they need to. So, which one of the things we plan to do with that episode is actually go to a wolf sanctuary and get up close with wolves. So, little something to look forward to is me face to face with a wolf. And but again, that's just kind of playing into that, biologist mindset of kind of moving forward, which I feel like I don't know. Personally, I think I have to, because it gives it a different avenue of things to kind of, it's just a new way of approaching things. It's like one way or another, we're looking for something biological. We're looking for an animal, whether it is this mythical creature that's being reported, or if it's just what's being kind of misidentified and such. And obviously, we have looked into ones that kind of bridge that gap of folklore, Rougarou, Pukwudgie, the Devil's Punch Bowl stuff that we did back in 2018. I do that. We look into those more so because the folklore is interesting. Like, there's a lot of cool stories along with it. Pukwudgie, definitely, I don't think it's anything that could exist in the real world that isn't, of just people seeing a porcupine and associating it with this legend. Rougarou is tough just because there really aren't, a wolf species that lives in the swamps of Louisiana, because there's really, there's no dry ground. But it's a very deep legend in Cajun folklore, and it's a very interesting one. And it was a fun one to kind of explore. But I'm definitely, with Bigfoot stuff, I'm definitely an aper. And I kind of these are wild. These are just an undiscovered animal to me, all of them. Regardless of how fantastical they sound, there's something rooted in reality that either grew from a culture not having the the scientific explanation of what this animal is, and it's they don't see it often enough, so it's this kind of fantastical creature. And then obviously get into the modern area. Western science knows what it is, but these cultures still call it a monster, call it a whatever. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, a lot of people are. I mean, it's not you're not the only one. I mean, I understand it. Um, I personally have a ton of different I some days I think just like you do, and other days I'm like, well, maybe it's from another planet. It's an alien, you know. So
years ago, I was kind of on that fence. I was like, oh man, like look at a map of UFO sightings and Bigfoot sightings, and they're almost identical.
yeah,
But
yeah, yeah. So sometimes I fall in that rabbit hole, and
hey, sometimes it's a fun rabbit hole to fall into.
it is, it's interesting. It's and especially when talking to somebody about whether no matter what side of the fence it is always fun and interesting just to see where a lot of people stand with it and stuff. um of course, I have never seen one or anything like that or have any kind of encounter, so I can't say for sure. I can only speculate. um do I mean, I want it to be real,
Mm-hmm.
and what would make it fucking fantastic to me is that it would be interdimensional. But also, again, like I said in the beginning, we're constantly finding new species. So is it an undiscovered species? I would totally be down for it being that as well.
Yeah.
But that's my opinion changes all the time on all of this, just because there's nothing
Mm-hmm.
concrete to say either way. um I would like fantastic stuff. Obviously, I think we all would. I think we a lot of people are um like a dream kind of thing, like, let's make the world more magical kind of a thing, you
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? So um but yeah, undiscovered species, that'd be great. I mean, I talked to Alex Petikoff. He's right on the same boat with you as well. Undiscovered species, most likely, or misidentified. I mean, I
Yep.
think a lot of these encounters are somewhere in between 70% to maybe 90% of them are misidentified.
Oh yeah.
Um, yeah. So
Well,
I
that's, I
want we
mean,
were
we always approach, we always have approached with the mindset. We don't go into it of, we don't try to debunk. It's the, if we can replicate, encounter or have a similar encounter and explain it, great. But we don't
yeah,
we don't aim to discredit people's sightings.
right.
Um, so we've always approached with the, not necessarily the is it or isn't it real, it's the can it be real? You know,
Yes.
is what's being described, is it possible? And let's look at both, cultural, biological, see if there's any parallels, and then that's kind of what we aim for, of narrowing down what to look for. But yeah, I've had some people. It's funny how many, I've had some people that are kind of like, they embrace that opinion, that
Uh,
mindset that I have, and then there's people that have been like, why? Like that's so narrow minded. It's like, how is that narrow minded? Like it's as open minded as it can possibly be. Like it's a pretty broad spectrum, and
uh, and it's your opinion, like, you know
yeah.
what I mean? So, I don't know.
I
I
had people like years ago, like kind of when I first started getting like more into the public space of this and kind of making a name for myself,
Yeah.
that discredited me because I looked into everything. I didn't just look into one thing. Like I wasn't just a Bigfoot guy. I wasn't just a lake monster guy. I looked into everything, and people thought people wouldn't give me the time of day because they thought it was,
That's silly. That is
nobody
so
important.
silly.
Nobody important. It was just kind of random people that I would kind of interact with that were like, like, oh, what's your thing? What do you research? Everything? What? What do you mean? Everything.
Yeah, I leave no stone unturned, sir. No stone unturned.
I mean, I
You know.
definitely have ones that I will kind of focus more on, but I look at
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah. There's there's the, there's stories that I don't believe as well, like at all. There's a there's a sighting of a goat man up here in Maine. It was one sighting, um, and the creature was it was only goat from the waist down. So it was human from the waist up like a centaur. So like it didn't have a goat face or anything. It was human and everything like that. And it was wearing a flannel. Um
So it sounds like it was just somebody out walking their goat.
yeah, probably most likely. And he just smiled at the guy and then walked into the woods. And I'm like, I don't know. Like is it one off enough to be real? But I don't know. I don't believe uh like the one offs. I think I don't know. Again, my mind could change probably tomorrow. And I could be like, yeah, that guy definitely saw a goat man in a flannel shirt. You know,
He definitely saw a
but
goat and a man.
for sure, yes. um but it's it's an interesting topic, all of it. It's and it's fun to talk about for me. It's looks like it's a whole lot of fun for you to go out there and check it out and stuff. um so when you started doing this, was your family like, what the hell are you doing, or were they were like, yeah, like super supportive?
Yeah, it was definitely kind of it was a toss up. I mean, I definitely had the ones that were like, like, okay, if you're happy, by all means. And then there was definitely the ones where it's like, why like I still have,
Right.
it's still treated like a hobby, even though I'm like, have sunk tens of thousands of dollars into this, and I'm like pursuing it as trying to pursue it as a full time. Um, but yeah, I mean, most of my family at this point are fairly supportive. My wife's very supportive. I know when we released the episodes back in 2020 or in 2021, I was surprised that like my family would, my mom and stepdad, would see me after the episodes would air and basically be like, "Oh, it was really good. We loved this interview," and it was fun because my sister would come over and we would watch it together, on TV. And yeah, I mean, they're definitely into it. A lot of my friends have always been into it. It's funny when I kind of really started like doing this, and like especially with the stuff in 2020, and then like make posts now, how many people that like I went to high school with that like interact with it, that's like I wouldn't have never expected to like even give it the time of day, or let alone like support me doing it. And I know it was funny because it's like I would, before we had released, or I think it was after we had released those episodes, I was walking around downtown where I live, and I ran into somebody that I went to high school with, and they're like, oh, it's like, what are you doing here? I figured you'd, be on a plane or, flying off somewhere cool again. It's like, yeah, well, that's hopefully soon.
That's dope, man. That's cool. Um, I when I started this podcast, I didn't. I had support from one friend, and that was it. I told people about it. Like my ex-wife was like, "What? You're gonna do a podcast? Okay. What do you think, you're gonna be Joe Rogan or something?" I'm like, "What the hell does that mean?" I was like, "I don't know. I just want to have these conversations
But
with
bro,
people."
MMA and elk hunting.
Yeah, dude. Like, come on now. Like, man stuff. Like, I like hunting. I like listening to people talk about hunt. Like, come on now.
No,
Um,
I listen to Joe Rogan. It's fine.
yeah. I know. I actually do listen to Joe Rogan too. So, um,
I drive a
but
lot for my day job, so it's nice because I can just throw on a 3-hour podcast and just kind of listen to it throughout the day.
yeah, when I first got in, he was the first podcast that I ever started listening to, and I remember I'm like, because I used to think, I'm like, podcasts, they're so fucking stupid. Who wants to sit here and listen to people talk about?
Who'd have thought?
Yeah, right. And I remember the
Everyone's
first
got one
time,
now.
yeah, I remember opening Joe Rogan's page at first, and there were like 3-4 hours of like, what in the world? And I was like, I will never listen to that. And then I started listening to it religiously shortly after I said that. Um, but yeah, it's interesting to especially when you get support from people that you didn't expect to get
Mhm.
support from. And that's pretty cool. It's humbling, and for me, this journey has been fantastic. A lot of people that I've made so many friends that I have never
Yeah.
physically met before. So like,
For me, it was when I started getting acknowledged by the people that I had always looked up to. That's when I was
yes,
like, okay,
mm-hmm,
I'm doing it right. You know, like I may be doing it a different way, but I'm doing it right. Like I'm approaching it with the right heart and mindset. You know,
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
that's
that was kind of a a humbling experience to when you get Ken Gerhard saying, "Oh, you really know your stuff." It's like, what? Like, no, man, you know your stuff. I don't know anything.
yeah, yeah, yeah. He's a good dude too. I met
I
him
love Ken.
once. Um, but what do you have coming up next? The Kickstarter, or is there anything like nearer to
So
now,
yeah,
I
we
guess?
won't be filming anything, just because this as this show has evolved, it's also gotten more expensive. Um,
Yes.
so that's kind of where why we kind of started doing Kickstarter, or we did the one back in 2020. It was like we got to, and then this
Yes.
one for sure it was kind of like we kind of sat down. I mean, it's been 3 coming on 4 years since we've really actually no, it's been 4 years since we filmed, coming on 4 years since we released. Um, so it was kind of like we need to do this, and we can't go back to how we used to do, or it was just kind of like one periodically. Like we either take the momentum that we gained and apply it now because we couldn't 3 years ago,
Yeah.
and do this properly, do this the way we've been talking the last 3-4 years about doing it, or we just stop doing it. So, and nobody wanted to stop doing it. So it was kind of like, all right, what do you have in mind? And then the last month and a half, 2 months have been, a lot of meetings and just nailing this down. So, yeah, Kickstarter the 27th of September, and that'll run through the month of October, and a 30-day Kickstarter. And then as long as that is successful, then November as long as that is successful, November and December will be very busy because then we'll be in full on pre-production mode. And then ideally by January we are shooting, and then hopefully this time next year we're releasing.
Nice.
If not sooner. But I'm not gonna I made the mistake of last season of feeling like, oh, I've got to release at this time, and then it was just a mad dash. So I'm just gonna kind of, once we know that we're good and we aren't trying to edit 4 episodes in a month, then it's we'll announce. But yeah, ideally this time, maybe closer to Halloween, just to kind of stick with spooky season. But that's kind of like in my mind when I would like to shoot, just because we have one that we can't do until summer, and 2 that we can do in the winter because they're in the south.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I think we're June and February actually rolling and on location again. But yeah, everything is basically, this whole month is going to be promoting this Kickstarter. Like I said, you're the first, public forum that I've announced a specific date. We haven't even, I've teased that we're working on something, but we haven't actually like fully rolled out that we're going to launch this Kickstarter, just because we want to kind of announce it closer to the date, so that way it's kind of fresh in everyone's mind.
Yeah.
And then,
Makes
so
sense.
27th, Kickstarter launch. 28th, I'll be at the Van Meter Visitor Festival doing a presentation. Like I said, I'm also on the committee, so I would be there anyways. But I'll be there. If anyone else is in Central Iowa and wants to come hang out with some fun people, we'll be promoting the Kickstarter there. That was kind of our idea, was like, let's do it. Let's launch it the day before Van Meter, because then we can promote it in real time, like, and tell people about it to their face.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, so that's what I've got going on. And then, like I said, basically the entire month of October will just be me rocking back and forth, hoping that this thing succeeds. And then, it'll be a end of October will either be Super Happy Nash or, I guess, Nash. And then we'll be pretty busy, hopefully very busy through the rest of the year and then all of next year. And then hopefully now that I've been married and had a child, I can just ride the momentum of this next season and just go right in and just keep shooting forever.
Yeah. I feel you. Well, I hope it's successful for you, man. I really do. Like, I think you have something good. It's good going for you. And looking at things from a biology standpoint, I think is the perfect way to go. I mean, I've heard there's cryptids of the corn. I think that one of them is was formerly a biologist. So they talk about
Nice.
each cryptid from a biology standpoint. So to look into them when you're out on the field from a biology standpoint, I think is a fantastic idea. But that's all the questions I got for you, man. If you ever want to come on and have another conversation about anything, I'm more than happy to do so. Especially if when you get closer to like release dates and stuff like that, we can definitely do something if you're interested. But other than that, man, I look forward to your Kickstarter, and I hope it's successful, because I'd love to see what you do with it for next year.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
So,
Yeah, like I said, it's we really we moving forward. It's gonna look and feel more proper television without overproduction, and we can do what we want because it's our show. We're gonna show what we want to show. But yeah, I mean, we're gonna be doing things that we've never done before in terms of kind of how we present the episodes. Like, I'm gonna be narrating the episodes now, just to kind of help with flow and just to kind of get more info on screen. We're working with a 3D modeler to basically construct 3D versions of the cryptids to show on camera, to show the audience this is what people reported to look like. And then we're going to be working with animated maps, and like I said, it's going to be dollar store destination truth.
Yeah, that sounds dope. I I'm so happy for you.
There's a lot of stuff like that that's kind of obviously on the post production end that's going to make it look nice, and there's a lot of things on the actual production end that we're going to roll out and be better. We got a lot of there was a lot of feedback from the episodes that we launched or released in 2021 that we took very seriously. A lot of positive and negative feedback that were like, okay, people like it, but they didn't like this, or they didn't like that, or they want more of this, less of that sort of thing. And it's going to look more consistent. Like, we actually have a skeleton that we wrote out that's like, okay, every episode has to have this, and then everything else can work. Whereas the 4 episodes we shot in 2020, each of them, like, it's obviously the same show, but all of them look like their own thing. Like, they're very standalone-ish, which I want to get away from. Like, I want the same, within a few seconds, the same time limit on each of them. We're shortening the episodes to about 22 to 25, maybe 30. We're going to kind of figure that out, but just to make everything a lot more snappy, a lot more quick, remove the possibility of those kind of lull moments, and It's going to be fun, entertaining, educational, hopefully. And it's gonna, like I said, we learned a lot the last few years of kind of how to, I spoke with a lot of people that produce TV. I was like, how can we make this better? And they were like, this is what you should do. And we've really honed our craft as filmmakers and as producers and as showrunners. So we're really ready and excited to show that we have, we've evolved, and it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah, man, I'm excited for you. I'm excited for you. I hope it works out, and I look forward to seeing it. So, if you don't mind, one more time, or I don't know if I had you say it to begin with, but letting the good people know where it is that they can find you and your show.
So socials are at Nash Hoover on Instagram, all one word. At Chasing Legends Official, and that's both, or that's YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. You can search, because YouTube does handles now, because why not? ChasingLegendsCrew.com is our website, and there is kind of usually where I direct people because it's got the links to everything. All of our episodes are on there. And yeah, September 27th, Kickstarter launch day.
Dope. I like it. I like it a lot. Man, Nash, this was a great chat. I really appreciate you coming on. Time is our greatest currency, and the fact that you spent this hour or so with me to discuss all these strange things, it means a lot to me, because if I didn't have people like you to talk to, I'd just be talking to myself. I don't know if that would be as entertaining. I'm not saying that I wouldn't do it. I mean, I do it on a pretty consistent basis in my car, or even when I'm home. So, but yeah, man, thanks for coming on. I appreciate it. I know it took a while, and we both had conflicting schedules.
It was worth it. It was well worth it.
Yes, I would agree. I would agree, man. I would agree. But yeah, so everybody at home, that is the show. Please go check Nash out and everything that he's doing. Check out check him out for the Kickstarter. Hopefully we can get some great content from him and his crew next year. But yeah, please like, follow, share, subscribe, leave a rating and review. If your podcatcher doesn't allow a review, please leave one on the website, wheretheweirdonesarepodcast.com. That's where also you can get the merch and the hot sauce. But other than that, that's all I got for you. So have a good day, good night, whatever time you decided to listen to this. And remember, question everything and stay weird.
This concludes our broadcast day. Click.
Because in the end, none of us have very long on this earth. Life is fleeting. And if you're ever distressed, cast your eyes to the summer sky, when the stars are strung across the velvety night, and when a shooting star streaks through the blackness, turning night into day. Make a wish.